Okay, so I'm just going to go over a couple of examples of news pieces. This is one that was picked by a student. So eating peanuts early on may prevent peanut allergy later. I thought this title was good. It was engaging. I might be a little more specific about what is meant by early on because who knows what that means. But in the tagline here, you have early exposure to peanuts rather than avoidance may be more efficacious in preventing food allergies in infants at high risk for the allergy. We know pretty soon that it's infants. The name of the writer, the date. I deleted these first three words because it's too much of a run-in and we want to start out with the very most important point. So early sustained consumption of peanut products greatly decreases the development of peanut allergy in high-risk infants. And I might even say during infancy, sustained consumption of peanut products rather than leaving this high-risk infants all the way to the 8th or ninth word. So you start out by knowing that the population is infants. All right, so this is a good summary of the initial finding. And then I put according to a new study because we like to know what we're dealing with here in terms of where the information came from. And then I just fixed the medical degree here. You don't need from a clinical trial. So we have next the background information. And then I put in this quote here because this puts the findings in context, and having looked at the article and the discussion section, I thought it was good to have this quote here. All right, next we get into the results, and here was a very long sentence that the writer had, so I split that up to make it shorter. All right, so here the writer puts, the primary outcome by an oral food challenge was 86.1% relative reduction in the prevalence of peanut allergy at 60 months. I found this kind of confusing because let's see, because the primary outcome is a measure, right? It's not the actual result, and she was putting in the actual result. So what I did was just change it to describe what the primary outcome of the study is. Among 530 infants, the prevalence of peanut allergy at 60 months of age was 13.7%, and in the avoidance group, and 1.9% in the consumption group. And then I just deleted this because this was kind of redundant. This absolute difference, you don't really need to put that. Among the 98 participants with positive results on the initial skin prick test, the prevalence of allergy was 35.3%. And then I added also suggesting a reduction in allergy risk with peanut consumption. So I added this as an explanatory phrase to help the reader understand exactly what the finding meant. And then I deleted this again because it seemed redundant. I added this information because I thought it was important and she had left this out. There were no deaths, but 99% of infants in each group reported at least one adverse event. Most adverse events, and actually she had left out the word adverse, which really, that kind of scares me because you can't just say events. It kind of indicated that maybe she didn't really have the background that's needed. It's little things like that. All right, and then I added this quote. Here were the adverse events that I had put right here because we need all these things to belong together. And then I added this quote at the end. And then this right here, the authors point out that the main weakness of the study, blah, blah, blah. And that was a good quote. The study was funded by grants from the National Institute, NIAID. And you can put that, it's fine, or you can just put not commercially funded because that's the important part. And the references was not added properly. So, and also she put NEMJ. I mean, don't say that. Don't put that. Put NEJM like it should be, right? You got to get these things right. The thing about all caps acronyms is that it's not going to show a misspelling. And so anytime I write an all caps acronym, especially if it's something complicated like 4 letters or more, I will absolutely go through and double check each one to make sure I haven't transposed any of the letters. That's important. So that's it. And I would say this piece was not that great. I mean, it's okay because it kind of follows the structure, but it had a few errors and things that weren't quite clear. I would say that it was right around average because it had a couple of errors in it.